everyone, Mike Felker here. This is not the usual type of video or podcast that I would do, but I wanted to give you something rather than nothing. So last couple of videos I think have been cart crashes, things like that. Just to kind of give you an update on what's going on, because some of you ask what's going on, why things are a little bit different, and I appreciate everyone asking and everyone who reaches out to me personally just to kind of check in on me and ask me how things are going. So just to be really honest and upfront, there's probably not going to be a lot of content put out between now and the end of the year. There's been just an immense amount of things going on in my personal life. I would say this has probably been one of the most difficult years I've had in my entire adult life. We're getting through it. I'm going to get there, and I will be back. I can assure you, I will be back with regular content, just like old times, where I was putting out nearly weekly reviews and whatnot. So I promise you, I will get back there. There's just a little bit of a mountain to climb in my personal life, which has just really jeopardized a lot of my opportunities to put things out. And my biggest enemy right now is basically time and location. Both of those things have really just kept me from putting out content with any regularity. So what I do have on the dock that's I want to push out as soon as possible is a review of the annual meeting, something that everybody has been talking about. If you've been living under a rock, you should really check out what's going on with the annual meeting. So what you will notice is that the November broadcast, they have posted the second part of the annual meeting, which is not as much of the juicy stuff. What's mentioned in the second part, which they are putting out first, is the new light regarding field service hours reporting and whatnot, which they announced that pretty quickly, shortly thereafter, or right at the same time as the annual meeting. So they decided to post a JW broadcast of the second part of the annual meeting, and doing that early. I think they said in the broadcast, if I'm not mistaken, that they usually post the annual meeting publicly around January. And so they did that earlier, and that just has to be because people were talking. Because was that announcement about field service that they posted on jw.org for everyone to see, was that enough? Were people wondering, like, what in the world, that this just came out of nowhere? This is breaking news. This is new light from Jehovah. Jehovah no longer wants us to report field ministry, and they just kind of posted it out there. Well, I guess people started talking. Maybe people complained. I don't know. They probably didn't complain, because if you complain, things are not going to go well for you. But maybe they expressed some kind of concern. But it sounds like the organization heard them loud and clear and decided to post the annual meeting. But the second part, which was shocking in a way, but I'm also not surprised, because the second part of the annual meeting was not the worst of it. I mean, it's definitely very important information, but it was not the worst of it. The worst of it was the first part. So what they're basically doing, as far as I can assess, is that they're just kind of spoon feeding you the information, because maybe you couldn't handle the first part, because that is the most concerning information. But you all in the rank and file, those of you who are not privileged enough to be at the annual meeting, you can't handle it. So they had to give you the second part first, and then come January, they're going to feed you the first part. You know, you're just like little children. You can't handle this, right? And you can't even handle other people telling you about what happened in the first part of the meeting, because Kenneth Cook was very clear to tell you that do not take any notes and disperse this to anybody. You can't handle it. And those at the annual meeting, you can't even be trusted. You can't even be trusted to tell anyone about this new light that you've been given. And they can't even send you the recordings. You've got to wait months to hear about this information that only the privileged few could hear about. Well, a lot of you probably already saw the entire annual meeting. I'm not sure right now. There might be a few places where you can view the annual meeting, but it'd have to be through some kind of a private link. You can't. Someone actually had the annual meeting posted on YouTube, which I was able to extract that and download it myself. So I actually have possession of the entire annual meeting. And then since that YouTube video was I guess exposed, and then it was taken down through various violations by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. It's no longer available publicly, as far as I know. If you want to view the entire annual meeting for yourself, just send me a private message. You can contact me through my website, michaeljfelker.com, and you can just contact me through that. As long as I have an email address, I can send you a Dropbox link where you can just watch the entire annual meeting. I would just highly recommend you watch it. Kenneth Cook said in the annual meeting that this is a landmark, if I remember correctly. This is a landmark annual meeting. One of the most important ones since the release of the New World Translation, I think, which was 2013. And that may be true. I would say, besides that, the most important annual meeting was when they were offered new light from Jehovah about the new interpretation of who the faithful and discreet slave really is, which is no longer all of the 144,000, but is exclusively the governing body. So that was some extremely important information at an annual meeting, and I don't think ever since then we've had anything quite like that. But I would say this annual meeting is even more important than that one. There was new light given that I gotta be careful in how I say this. But the information that was given would and should shake the foundations of every single Jehovah's Witness. It should completely rock their world. And most Jehovah's Witnesses, and I do say most, let's just say 90% of them are just going to take in this new light, this spiritual food from Jehovah, and they're just going to applaud it and run with it, because any change is good, right? Change is good. This is all going in the right direction. They think that the governing body is humble to accept this change, and they think the change is great. They're just going to eat it up, and they're just going to move on, and they're not going to critically examine it. But there might be a 10%, and 10% is still a lot. I think, and I can't read minds and hearts. I'm just guessing here, right? I'm neither inspired nor infallible, right? I'm not a prophet or anything like that, but I'm just kind of thinking back to other things the Watchtower has done, which has caused Jehovah's Witnesses to leave in droves, which even less than 10% I would consider droves, right? Because that could be just thousands who were leaving. Was the overlapping generations, right? And as many people as I've talked to have told me that that is what really got the wheels turning, that got them to think about all of this critically. I think this annual meeting is going to be very much like that, but far more dramatic, because what this does, and what I'm talking about in particular, is the very concept of new light. The new governing body member, and I can't remember his name, he had the first talk where he basically tells you how the sausage is made. He tells you how the sausage is made, how the governing body comes to make these decisions, which is something that you can find in print, but this is something that's just said out loud, and that just really that really makes a difference. So he tells you how the sausage is made, which, when you really think about it, that can really rock your world, because you're being given this new light on top of that explanation of how the new light is made. And so when you process all of that together, you're just like, whoa, this just can't be right. This cannot be how Jehovah is operating, because the actual new light that's been given is concerning the resurrection of the unrighteous, and it's also a matter of how and when you can come to accept the truth, and whether or not you will get a resurrection depending on when you actually died, whether that's during the Great Tribulation or before the tribulation, or right before the very end. And I'm going to explain all this in detail. I'm going to play clip by clip and just, with a fine-tooth comb, analyze what was said in this annual meeting with as much doctrinal precision that I am capable of. I'm going to rip the annual meeting apart, just point by point, in as much excruciating detail as I possibly can, because what I want to show you, and what I hope that you will see, is that this new light basically renders, and we can combine that with the preaching hours, it basically renders nearly everything that you have done and that you have sacrificed to this organization, is going to render it practically meaningless. It's going to render your life as a Jehovah's Witness as practically meaningless, because what it shows is that it really doesn't matter whether you accept the Jehovah's Witness religion right now, or if you wait right up until the very end, right before Armageddon, and that you can come to accept that this religion is the truth. So you can basically live like the world right now. You could do that, and you could even get killed during the Great Tribulation. Sorry, I'm distracted right now. I'm driving, if you can't tell, so I'm a little bit distracted. I'm being safe, don't worry. But you could do that, and you could still get a resurrection. Now, they're not going to say that everyone gets a resurrection. There's definitely some nuance there. But hypothetically, you could wait up to the very last minute repentance. So there's so much more detail I could get into with this, but that is the conclusion that I am coming to. And this new light, it doesn't even make a whole lot of sense, and it certainly It certainly does not line up with the scriptures. First and foremost, it does not line up with the scriptures. So this is kind of like my little preview rant, if you will, because I just want you all to know. I just want you all to know that this is something that you all need to be prepared for, because so many of you have Jehovah's Witnesses, friends and family, and ones you're going to get in contact with, ones you're going to want to get in contact with, and you're going to want to share this information with them, or they may come to you and may ask you about this. And it's so important that we all be prepared and ready, because Jehovah's Witnesses, just like what happened with the overlapping generations, people are going to be waking up, and we all need to be ready and prepared to engage them with love, gentleness, and respect, and most importantly, with an accurate understanding of the scriptures and with the gospel of Jesus Christ, because that is what's most important here. Because when they begin to wake up, when they're ready to take the red pill, they're just ripe. The soil is fertile ground for planting a seed of the gospel and sharing the truth about Jesus Christ with them when they're in this vulnerable state, to give them something to hope for. Because we all know the repercussions of leaving this religion, of what waking up can do. And we don't just want people to wake up, we want them to know and understand the gospel and give them hope in the gospel when everything around them is failing and falling apart, when their life gets turned upside down. So I just want us to be all ready for that. And that is why I'm going to, in excruciating detail, go through this annual meeting. And so I'm going to at least wait until January. So I have the whole recording, and I was considering analyzing the recording that I did have, but just at the risk of the Watchtower reporting this and taking this down, because this was a private recording. Once it's up on the broadcast, once it's public information, I've never had any issues with the Watchtower coming with me, because I'm not reposting the entire thing. I'm just analyzing particular clips with, as far as I understand, under fair use. That's okay to do. So hopefully between now and the end of the year, I'll be able to post my review of the second part, which is this month's JW broadcast, which basically going to have all the information of the new light about field service no longer being required to report. So going to go through that with a fine-tooth comb, but then I'll have to wait until January, once they post the JW broadcast of the first part of the annual meeting. And gosh, that might have to be in several parts for me to review, because there's just so much to get into. And then I believe there are going to be Watchtower study editions that are going to have details about this new light. So we'll just have to wait and see. Those might have even come out, as far as I know. I don't really check the Watchtower study editions that far in advance. I just look at them as they're being studied, which I'm obviously behind on those. But there's my update. I plan to be back in full swing. There's just a great deal of things in my personal life that I still have to work through. And so if anyone wants to know the details about that in my personal life, I'm happy to tell you kind of what's going on. Everything is okay. I'm going to get through it. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It's just keeping me extraordinarily busy right now, and just not much time. But if you send me an email, I'm happy to talk to you. And I do have some limited time to where I can email you back. That's totally fine. I can kind of find time to do that. It's just setting up my studio, recording a whole review. There's just prep work, and I just don't have time for that. But I'm gonna try to squeeze in some time to post my review. So enough rambling. I hope you all are doing well. I appreciate each and every one of you, those who support this podcast, whether financially or not, just by watching and listening. Even if you've never commented, I greatly appreciate your support and just continuing to check this out. So again, I'll just leave it there. Hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you soon, hopefully. For more information about Jehovah's Witnesses and other topics, please visit michaeljfelker.com. There you can also reach me directly to submit questions or comments to be covered on the JW Review. To subscribe to this podcast, please go to iTunes and search for the JW Review.